Films and fermentation, movies and inebriation. Films and fermentation, comedy mixed with tasty libations. Films and fermentation, with Leo, Kevman, and Mike.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Films and Fermentation. Tonight is our Valentine's Day special because the episode will be dropping just about around Valentine's Day. It's episode 182. We're calling this one Big Boys Do Cry because we are going to be paying some tribute. We're going to be paying tribute to movies that even dudes can cry at. That's right. We are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast, #1 pop culture podcast on Good Pods, and a member of the Podnation Media Network on Roku. Wait, I'm gonna do like they asked us to do. Hold on. Podnation Media Network on Roku.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Yes, you got it. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're three friends like talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. In this episode, we're talking about those rare films that can make even the toughest, most stone-faced dudes shed a single manly tear. You know the ones. Where a beloved character says goodbye, the dog doesn't make it, or Tom Hanks gets way too attached to a volleyball. It's okay, fellas. We don't judge. Just pass the tissues and pretend it's allergies. So grab a drink and prepare for a roller coaster of feels as we dive into the movies that break even the bravest of hearts. Don't forget, you can drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. I want to encourage everybody out there to actually start sending us some emails or some messages to our text line because I would love at some point in the future to do like a little mailbag episode where we answer questions and read comments and things like that. That would be a lot of fun. You can also become part of the Films and Fermentation family by, as I said, checking us out on the Podnation Media Network on Roku, or buying our merchandise at teespring.com. We are an independent podcast, which means we are listener supported. So please consider joining our Patreon for as little as $1 a month to receive members only content. That's right. For a limited time, for $1 donation, Mike will join your Zoom meeting and awkwardly stare at you for 30 seconds before abruptly logging off. Go to patreon.com/filmsandfermentation to do this. And again, you can go to teespring.com to buy our merchandise. You can also send us a text at 904-867-4466. The Films and Fermentation text line, 904-867-4466. And I'd like to give a shout out to the co-CEO of the Podnation Media Network, host Robb of the Real Sharks podcast, for following us on x.com. Thank you for the follow and for allowing us to join the Podnation Media Network.
Hey, the more money they send into Patreon, the different looks I'll give during that Zoom
Ooh,
call.
so it won't just be a stone-faced stare. No.
If they say like $20 or a $20 one, I'll sit there and go.
How's the give him a tease him with the smolder? What's the smolder look like? Is that a smolder, or are you taking a shit?
Wow. Difference.
At my age, there ain't much difference in either.
Both hurt. What are we drinking tonight, my friend?
I went first last week. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. What do you got?
I went with a surefire oldie but a goodie. I went with Devil's Backbones Distilling Company's limited edition bourbon orange smash.
Nice. A good one. Kev, what do you got going on tonight?
I reached in my fridge and grabbed the last beer.
Oh,
The last beer. Gentlemen, this is Boleros Snorts Brewery. They're Cocoa Pebbles, which I've had before. This is a breakfast porter with cocoa, vanilla, and milk sugar. It is 6.5% alcohol by volume. It is the last beer, so if I don't get any soon, I'm gonna have to start raiding my own liquor cabinet.
What are you gonna do if you finish that tonight? Usually 2 beers an episode.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just
Yeah.
have Megan bring a bottle of something up.
What's
It's the strong.
the strongest thing you got? Cherry Coke? I'll take it. I actually had a little bit of a theme tonight. It was actually easy to come up with a theme drink tonight since we're doing movies that bring a tear to even dudes' eyes. I am drinking an Irish whiskey from Copperpot Distillery, product of Ireland. 40% alcohol by volume and given to me by my friend Mike. It's called Writer's Tears. It's a very good whiskey, so that's what I'm drinking tonight. All right, on to our first major segment.
This week in film history with Mike. This week in film history with Mike.
This week in film history with Mike.
Interesting.
In 1919, Hollywood Film Studio, United Artists, founded by Charlie Chaplin, Douglas Fairbanks, and Mary Pickford, and D.W. Griffith. There we go.
I was waiting for the normal intro that you usually do for yourself, so you can claim like 3 special intros tonight. Yeah. 1919 United Artists founded and still going strong today, which is pretty amazing.
I just covered this in my film appreciation class.
And did you show them any Chaplin films?
Next unit is about comedy, so we'll do Chaplin and Keaton and the Marx Brothers to start, and then we'll move on to Mel Brooks.
And I'm sure they'll appreciate every single bit of it.
Every single one of it. Yeah.
The next one you got there, sir.
1926, Disney Brothers Cartoon Studios becomes Walt Disney Studios.
That's right. Fuck Roy. Speaking of Disney.
In 1940, Walt Disney's second feature-length movie, Pinocchio, premieres in New York City.
I was just thinking of this the other day because I forgot that I had done a review of Benicio del Toro's Pinocchio for a bonus episode once, and god damn, that's a bizarre movie. Nothing like the Disney Pinocchio. Next one you got there.
Benicio del Toro. So.
It is Benicio del Toro. It was good. It was just weird.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, sir.
1944, Captain America serial films premieres starring Dick Purcell. First appearance of a Marvel superhero outside of a comic book.
And I brought up a picture to show you of Dick Purcell as Captain America. Those are some tight pants.
Just doesn't have a shield.
No shield, but he does have
Tights.
Well, it looks like a Walter 28 there or something. Giant A on his head. I mean, it is pretty, spot on to what the 1940s Captain America comic character kind of looked like. So,
and when he compared to the Batmans and the Supermans at the same time, that's par for the course. I mean, that was.
I thought about getting those pictures too. I didn't have time to do it, but like the Batman one is bad. Like the Batman, he's like overweight and his ears are like floppy. The Superman one's not too bad. It's Superman one is George Reeves. That one's a little better, but next one you got there, sir.
1952, Jackie Robinson becomes the first African American executive of a major U.S. TV and radio station as director of community activities at Radio WNBC New York and television station WNBT.
Interesting. That's a fact I did not know. I always thought Jackie Robinson was just a baseball player.
Yep.
All right.
1970, Patton, directed by Franklin J. Schaffner and starring George C. Scott, premieres in New York. Academy Award winner, Best Picture, 1971.
Also won the Academy Award for Best Actor for George C. Scott, who didn't show up to accept the Oscar. He actually refused it. He didn't. I think it was something like he didn't believe in treating acting as a competition.
I think he really wanted the Ernest movie of that year to win, so he didn't feel that he was.
What Ernest movie came out in 1970? Ernest was a fetus.
Ernest Goes to Watergate.
Wow.
I'm not a drunk, Vern.
Hey,
Next
Vern.
one.
Hey, Vern. Look what I found. Look what I found, Vern.
You want to see something funny, man? You got to check out. There's a video of the actor who played Ernest. I can't think of his name right now.
Laurel.
Something. I can't think of his name right now. But he is a actual trained Shakespearean actor, and there's video of him performing Hamlet on YouTube, and it is quite an interesting comparison to what he did as Ernest. That being said, we were talking about George C. Scott, so let's go on to the next fact, sir. I don't know how Patton turned into an Ernest conversation.
Well, from Ernest, we go to 1974. Mel Brooks Western spoof film Blazing Saddles, starring Cleveland Little and Gene Wilder, premieres at the Pickwick Drive-In in Burbank, California. Patrons watched from horseback rather than a car.
Yes, and if you'd like to hear more about our take on Blazing Saddles, we did a anniversary episode for its 50th anniversary. I want to say it was earlier in 2024, so it was definitely about maybe 30 episodes ago or something like that. I want to say, but it was a really good, really fun episode because Blazing Saddles is a fun movie to talk about, especially when you have to dance around a lot of the topics in the movie.
Sheriff is up.
Where do white women at? So if you want to hear more about our take on Blazing Saddles, just go back into our catalog and find our older episode where we talked about the 50th anniversary. Next one you got there, sir.
1986, Pixar Animation Studios, known for Toy Story and The Incredibles, headed by Edwin Catmull and Alvy Ray Smith, is a spinoff of Lucasfilms Ltd. As an independent film production company with the backing of Steve Jobs.
And now once again owned by Disney because Disney now owns Lucasfilm.
Well, they bought Pixar separately.
The circle is now complete.
Circle is now complete. I was once the apprentice. Now I am the master. Can I read the last one, sir? If
Yes.
you don't mind?
I put it on there just for you.
Yeah, I know. I want to read it. 2024, Denis Villeneuve's science fiction film epic Dune Part 2 premieres in Mexico City. Stars Timothée Chalamet in an ensemble cast that includes Zendaya and Josh Brolin and Batista and Stellan Skarsgård and Austin Butler and Florence Pugh and Christopher Walken, and then got robbed of the Best Director Oscar this fucking year. Thank you for letting me read it. Yeah. Had to get that off my
I think his last name's pronounced Chalamet, though.
Chalamet. He actually was talking on Graham Norton's show once about his name. Like everybody calls him Timothy, but he is of French descent. His name is actually Timothy. It's like Timothy Chalamet or something like that. But he's like everybody calls me Timothy, so I just go with it.
1 second, guys.
Mike, why don't you give us a must-try beer and craft destination while Kev's taking a break there?
Yeah. I have a must-try beer of an Anda IPA from Wise Acre Brewing Company, Memphis, Tennessee. An Anda sits comfortably between the popular IPA subgenres hazy and West Coast. It's got a slight haze, thick body, and tropical fruit flavors of a hazy style, but then wallops you with the pine flavor and bitterness of the old school sea hops, such as Cascades and Centennial. Your nose will smell the sweet orange and mango aromatics until you this is going to be a sweet and juicy, but the sip is all that changes with a raspy hop core encouraged by a bit of ethanol glow from the 6.2 ABV. This is the Retro Direction Hazy IPA, and IPA Direction Hazy IPAs are now taking sign me up. There you go. Don't sign me up, really don't.
But the
Not
important question is, does it have barnyard funk?
It does not.
I don't like
I'm going to give it to you. Barnyard, I'm going to give it to you.
I don't want a beer unless it's got some barnyard funk. That brings us to
Boogie and drink that barnyard funk into you. Die.
I got to upload the barnyard funk song that
It's got
I
a
had the
nice
program right for me.
cow pie flavor.
Yeah, Kev, I'll play you the barnyard funk song on Sunday so you can actually hear it.
Nice.
All right, next segment.
Kevin's here, he's here for a beer. He's got news, it's beer than the Kevin.
Kevin! Okay, gentlemen. What's in a name? What's in a name? Well, apparently,
Her name is that's not as sweet.
Rose is still
CEO of Anheuser-Busch is looking to ditch the name domestic for American.
American.
American. You know,
American.
domestic's too feminine. It
We live in
makes
America.
people think of washing dishes and cooking food and
I was going to say domestic just rings ear of terrorism.
yeah. Mhm.
We're going American.
American.
People don't buy domestic cars or salute the domestic flag, so they shouldn't drink domestic beer. At least that's what Anheuser-Busch CEO thinks. Brendan Whitworth, the beer maker's chief executive, says he wants to change the term that describes his U.S.-made beers, which include Budweiser, Michelob Ultra, and Busch Light, to American. In a letter to distributors and partners, that was obtained by CNN. Whitworth sounded patriotic more than a linguistic or practical note. The pride we take in this great country should also be properly and accurately applied to our great American beers, Whitworth wrote. They are brewed by American workers who receive American wages. They rely on American farmers and on American raw material suppliers. They support American causes like the military and first responders. They pay American taxes. It's not clear what effect the statement will have. Some Budweiser labels already say Great American Lager on them, and they note that they are brewed and bottled in the USA. Whitworth, a former Marine, is calling for the change amid a populist revival following the re-election of President Donald Trump, who is putting his patriotic stamp on old norms too, including the renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Whitworth didn't reference that in his letter, but he echoed Trump in his exuberance for the word American, which is mentioned 25 times in the message. It's about time the whole industry begins to unilaterally use one of the strongest adjectives available to us, American. Leave domestic for other less glamorous uses, Whitworth said.
American.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Source, that came on, and I'm like, wait.
I was waiting for the perfect moment to drop it.
Source
You got it.
Anheuser-Busch terminologies said Anheuser-Busch's terminology change was discussed before the election and is tied to the Super Bowl popular beer drinking weekend and a television event for which Anheuser-Busch is the largest advertiser.
I'm curious to see if there's going to be a commercial now on Super Bowl Sunday that
American.
this
American
beer.
American. Well, you got
Great American hero.
Honest, I mean, just put on the beer labels that it's American made, but it tastes like water. You know,
I was gonna say, like, you want to call it American, but I think every beer in America, made in America, is an American beer. So, like, Shouldn't we call it like an American craft versus an American non-craft?
It
Huh.
could be. It could be. What's in a name? What's in a name? Well, you know what? There's another
Oh,
group that has a problem with the name. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Did
Go
you
ahead,
have
what
I
you
was
saying,
just going to say, we already have Wheatley. He's so good he drinks it, neatly. It's the American vodka. So why not just get the America and everything? We're just going to put America on everything.
American.
America.
We're sticking with the name theme here, gentlemen, because this
Okay.
next story is out of Texas.
Hmm.
It's been a few days, but the passionate, okay, let's call it angry, reaction from Mavericks fans to the Luka Doncic, Doncic,
Doncic.
thank you,
Yeah.
to the Lakers is not easing. Some would say that fan resentment toward team management is still brewing, and it'll soon be coming to a frosty glass near you thanks to a new creation from Celestial Beer Works, a brewery in Dallas Design District.
Are you
Oh my
sure
gosh.
that's not going towards the Cowboys?
I was gonna say, well, I mean, like I'm not gonna ruin it yet. I'll let you say what the name is, Kev. But like calling your beer this, you could. There is hundreds of teams in the country that would probably love to have a beer like this. Like fans everywhere. What's it called, sir?
It is called Sell the Team. Oh my gosh, it was such a shocking discovery. The co-owner Molly Reynolds. I'm like, oh, maybe it's an April Fool's thing. Like, no, it's not April Fool's. I mean, just craziness, said Reynolds. Along with the disbelief, there was a downright dismay. Then the staffer, known as Startender, knew just how to rally the Celestial Beer Works team. Hunter messaged us and said, like an hour or two later, said Reynolds, and was like, we need to do a beer called Sell the Team. Didn't take long for the idea to ferment. Haha. Sure, some would call it savvy marketing, but Hunter Ostick said he's also a lifelong Mavericks fan. My dad has a photo of me at about 2 feet tall in a Jason Kidd jersey, said Ostick. And now there's a very deep pain in my heart. I don't trust what's going on. I feel like it's a very big betrayal. For Mavericks fans looking for something new to absorb those salty tears, Sell the Team is in the tanks right now. Celestial is certainly known for our hazy IPAs. And our juicy, soft, typically very tropical tasting IPAs, said Reynolds. So we decided to make a double hazy IPA.
This article feels like it's apropos for this episode because it's about dude tears.
One for our staff members, our cellarman Hayden, and was like, "Oh, you need to make it 7.7 for the number 77," said Reynolds. The taproom was located near a DART train stop on the route to the American Airlines Center. So staffers said that they are a regular watering hole for fans.
So the Dallas Mavericks, the Dallas Cowboys, Cleveland Browns,
New York Jets,
New York Jets, Giants especially.
Yeah.
Can all have a Sell Your Team beer. That's funny, man. Sell your team.
Yep, Sell Your Team. So, and our last story.
I'm really excited that the last one has this headline. Please go for it.
Florida man visits local bottle shop for beer tasting. Gotta love a good Florida man story. This is out of Gainesville, Florida. On this installment,
I think
of
they're all
Florida
out of
Man
Gainesville,
Adventures,
Florida.
We're here in Gainesville at Crafty Bastards Bottle Shop, where we will be tasting some free beer. Let's check it out. Crafty Bastards Restaurant, Bottle Shop have been serving delicious craft beer for over a decade. They pride themselves on having a massive selection of thousands of beers and wines to choose from. We have many different varieties of beers from around the world, imports, yada, 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 yada. Once a week, Crafty Bottle Shop brings in beer, and that's my favorite flavor, free. Every Thursday from 6 to 8, we offer a free beer tasting. Oh, this sounds worth going to. Different breweries battling to get over here and pour beer for everybody. These tastings are a great way to learn about craft beer and fine-tune your personal taste. Exploring different types of beer is the name of the game.
That's a misleading headline.
It
I am
is a
disappointed.
misleading
It is
headline.
not about a Florida man. It's about Florida man beer
Yeah.
being at a tasting. That false fucking advertising. Boo. Boo.
You had true.
Well, now that is some fucked up shit.
Boo. Boo. Queen of putrescence.
Your true love lives. But you marry another.
For more information, yeah, it's like so misleading. I'm disappointed. I was really hoping it was going to be about a Florida man going to a beer shop and just cracking them open in the shop.
I wish I could tell you that I researched that one deeply, but I saw the Florida Man title and I
Yes,
just
you
put it up there.
you did the same thing I did. You
Yeah.
jumped on the headline. I would have did the
jumped on the
same
headline.
thing.
Clickbait, I say.
Clickbait. That is definitely clickbait. So once again, thank you for joining us tonight. We are the Films and Fermentation Podcast, part of the Podnation Media Network on Roku. And we are moving into our main segment this evening. Tonight's main segment is Big Boys Do Cry. These are movies that even men can cry at. It's our Valentine's Day special. So get ready to watch us shed tears. And if anybody wants to know why I don't have films on this list like Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan or films like that, we are a comedy podcast. We make a lot of jokes and we have fun with the things we talk about. To put movies like that on a list for an episode like we're doing tonight would be a insult to the message of those films. So we are sticking mainly to things that we can make some comedy out of, I think.
Yeah.
So we have 12 movies here that we culled together for our little list of movies that even dudes can cry at. And for each of these,
12.
I kept it to 12. I did good. I actually added a 10. I added 2 more, so I did cheat a little bit. But what I did was I pulled scenes from each film that I thought was the tear jerker of the movie. So I'll see if you guys agree with the clips that I culled together for this, or if there's a part of the movie that I missed or something that I should have put on my clip here. So we have 12 movies, as I said. If you're watching us on YouTube or on Roku, you'll be able to enjoy the film clips with us. If you were listening to us on one of our podcast platforms, audio platforms, obviously you won't be able to see these clips, but you will be able to hear them. So hopefully you're familiar with these films and follow along with us. So the first movie I have on the list is Castaway. Before I show the clip, can you guess what scene I'm talking about from Castaway?
It's Wilson's departure from from Nolan.
Yeah, right. Well, we're back. We're good. Yeah, you're
Okay.
back. So the scene, as Kevin guessed correctly, is the Wilson scene. So let me play that clip for you real quick.
Where's Wilson? Wilson, where are you? Wilson! 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 I'm coming! Wilson! 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 Wilson!
Wilson! Wilson! I'm sorry! I'm sorry, Wilson! Wilson, I'm sorry! I'm sorry! Wilson!
I'm not afraid to admit the first time I saw that, a tear came to my eye, and then afterwards I was like, "Wait, I'm crying for a volleyball." But it is a pretty emotional scene when you think that was his only companion for what 4 years or something. I think he was stuck on that island.
Yeah. I have to admit, when I'm watching scenes like this, the music that they use is a major part of hitting me in the feels. You know, Alan Silvestri did that, and it just the music as it starts makes you choke up. You know.
And you know how like directors often have musicians that they use. You know, Silvestri is somebody that Ron Howard has used in the past as well, and he knows what kind of emotion he wants playing in the scene, and it works, man. I mean, you do feel, and I think in the hands of a lesser actor that could have been a hokey scene, but Hanks, somehow makes it work. All right. Next one I have on the list here is one that I'm happy to talk about. Always, I watched it again the other night. The Shawshank Redemption.
That's gonna be old. What's his name?
You think it's Brooksy killing himself?
Brooksy, yeah. Brooksy
that's a sad scene. It's not the scene I chose. It's not the tear scene for me. This is more of, for me, like a happy tear.
The reunion at the end?
It's the reunion at the end is the one I went with. Although the Brooksy scene's a good one. That's a good one. Like Brooks, not being able to take it on the outside and taking his own life is a very sad scene.
Well, because that's the scene that's going to make you think what's going to happen later.
Yeah, because you end up, the way they play it, it seems like, that could be what Andy's doing or what Red does and all that. And then, but then it, leads to something a little more hopeful, but it, gives you that happy tear feeling. And according to the Bro Code by Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother, there's only 2 films that men are allowed to cry at. It's Shawshank and Field of Dreams. But here is the Shawshank Redemption.
Get busy living or get busy dying. That's goddamn right. For the second time in my life, I'm guilty of committing a crime. Parole violation. Of course, I doubt they'll toss up any roadblocks for that. Not for an old crook like me. Fort Hancock, Texas, please. I find I'm so excited I can barely sit still or hold a thought in my head. I think it's the excitement only a free man can feel. A free man at the start of a long journey whose conclusion is uncertain. I hope I can make it across the border. I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams. I hope.
Still gives me feels.
It's the movie that made me want Morgan Freeman to do my eulogy.
I want Morgan Freeman to narrate my life. Even the mundane things sound cooler when Morgan Freeman describes them.
It was the last square of toilet paper. He had to figure something out. He had to put that brain of his to use.
Once again, his knees popped and cracked as he got out of the chair. And he thought to himself, do I really need to stand up right now?
If you want to hear Morgan Freeman talk about mundane, you got to go back to when he was in the electric company taking a bubble bath.
So, fun fact about the ending of Shawshank Redemption: the original ending was not the reunion on the beach. The original ending had Red driving away in the bus, talking about all of his hopes, and his last words are "I hope," and then it fades to black and goes to credits, leaving the audience wondering if he ever makes it to Zihuatanejo or not. When they showed it to test audiences, they were very upset because they were really hoping for a reunion scene. And so the reunion scene on the beach was filmed after principal photography had already been completed. So it was like a extra shoot that they had to do for that final scene. But I think it works.
I don't think anybody complained about that. Like, okay,
oh, no.
we need to go to a beach somewhere for a weekend to film the final scene.
Yeah, to add a scene that made so many people happy to see. I feel like it adds to the film.
Yep.
The next one, again, is according to the Bro Code, the only other film that men can cry at. It's Field of Dreams. Anyone want to take a stab at what scene I chose?
So I'm between two. Between two scenes. It's either when Moonlight is it Joe?
Moonlight Graham.
Moonlight Graham has to give up the youth, the opportunity to come out and save this girl one more time, or it's the realization as to what the voice meant and who the person is at the very, very end. And I'm going to say the second one.
Okay. Michael, which one did you think I went with?
Probably the second one.
Probably the second one. So it's either between Moonlight Graham giving up his ghostly youth to save Costner's daughter in the film, or Costner having a realization.
There's always the speech.
Yeah, there's always baseball.
Oh.
I don't know. Let's see what I chose.
Thank you. It's so beautiful here. For me, it's like a dream come true. Can I ask you something? Is this heaven? It's Iowa. Iowa? Yeah. Could have sworn it was heaven. Is there a heaven? Oh, yeah. It's the place dreams come true. Maybe this is heaven. Good night, Ray. Good night, John.
Hey, Dad?
You want to have a catch? I'd like that.
You guys know me. You know me so well. You know what touches my heart.
I think any movie that gives that opportunity, that reconnection or the ability for one last thing with a loved one, you can't. It could be a brother, it could be a father, mother, whatever. It could be getting to see your dog again. It's just going to hit a chord and make you choke up.
Like when Luke found out Darth Vader was his father. I mean, it choked.
Literally choked you with the
It
force.
force
It was a
choked you up.
force choke.
I love you, my son.
So so the
Love
next
you
one
too,
I have
Dad.
on the list here is a Tim Burton film, one of his probably lesser successful ones, but still a good movie. Big Fish. I really like this film.
Yeah, no, I do too, and I wish I had a better. Like, I'm going through the scenes, but I'm not quite sure I'm going to get the right one. I want to say it's Ewan McGregor courting his future
His
wife.
love,
You know,
yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. But I could be wrong.
Mike, you want to give it a stab or?
Nah, I'm not even going to try that one.
So for me, there was only one scene in this, and it is towards the very end. His father's on his deathbed, and he's trying to get the son to tell the end of the story. And the son, who has been so dismissive of the father's tall tales throughout the movie, comes to a realization that he has to do this one last thing to make his father happy, and so he has to tell the story of how his father becomes the big fish in the little pond. And it's a beautiful scene. I had to cut it a little bit because the actual scene's like 8 minutes, so I had to make some edits in it to get it down to about 2 minutes. So it's going to do a little bit of jumping here and there.
Morning, and you and I are in the hospital, and I'd fallen asleep in the chair, and I'd wake up, and I see you. Somehow you're better.
Dad?
You're different.
Dad.
Let's get out of here.
We see that everybody is already there. And I mean, everyone. It's unbelievable.
The story of my life.
It keeps going. It goes into him bringing him into the water, and he turns into the fish and all that. What's that say? I can't see it on the screen.
This is boobies.
Hey, boobies. You're ruining it for me, man.
Sorry.
Such an emotional moment.
I know. Somebody needed to type boobies on a calculator.
And this is why I said your son is the one who has all the maturity. So yeah, that's just, I love that last line he says there. He's like, this whole scene was unbelievable. And he's like, that's the story of my life.
Yeah.
I love, there's also a great scene at the very, very end at the funeral where the son is looking around and seeing all of the people that the father told stories about.
Mm-hmm.
And realizing that they were actual people that he met in his life, even though he embellished, the story of meeting them.
Right.
Yeah.
This was one
really
of the
cool
first movies with Tony Collard, right? Or
Marion Cotillard. It was one of her first English-speaking films. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
She plays the son's wife in the film.
Jim Cavill's.
Yeah, that's not Jim Caviezel. That's I can't think of the actor's name. He was the one that played Dr. Manhattan in the Watchmen film.
Right.
I can't think of the actor's name. Next one I have here, oldie but goodie, Old Yeller. I think you guys can all guess the scene.
Yeah, put Old Yeller down.
Yeah, it's the only scene from the film I think you can honestly say is the tearjerker scene.
Mm-hmm.
And for anybody who owns a pet or had to,
that just it's just
anytime you have to put down a pet, you know how it feels. I know how it feels. I still miss my Pete. So here we go, Old Yeller.
No, Mama. There's no hope for him now, Travis. He's suffering. You know we've got to do it.
I know, Mama. He was my dog. I'll do it.
I'll tell you
guys don't.
that's. Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No.
You go first.
I was just going to say, that's tough, but I think like I'm putting that and I'm measuring it against Will Smith having to kill his dog in I Am Legend, right? He's holding it and it's why he's watching it change and has to do it, and he knows he has to do it soon.
I think it's the only good scene in that film.
Or
Marley and May.
Yeah, that
Marley
was the
May.
last one. Mm-hmm.
Turner and Hooch is another one too.
Turner and Hooch is tough. Yeah.
But I feel like if I was going to put an animal death on here, I could only do it one time and not destroy myself. So I picked the original, basically.
Yeah. Old Yeller.
I was going to say, you don't know the editing I had to do to lower the sound of that gunshot. It was so goddamn loud when I was editing it.
Surprised he didn't pick 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea when they had to put their pet octopus down at the end because it had turned.
I really thought about intersplicing the video of that kid hitting himself in the dick from the Matt McConaughey video last week, but I was like, I don't want to diminish it too much. Next one, getting back on track with some more serious stuff. The Green Mile. The second movie based on the Stephen King story on this list, oddly enough. The story of character played by John Coffey, played by Michael Clark Duncan in the film, who was wrongly accused of murder and eventually put to death by electric chair, not before befriending the guards, some of whom are played by guys like Tom Hanks. I believe this is another Ron Howard film.
No, Frank.
Is it Frank Darabont? Because I know Frank Darabont did Shawshank.
Yeah, I think this is Frank Darabont.
You might be right with that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm typing it into IMDb, and the first thing that comes up is Green Inferno, and I'm like, totally different movie.
Green Monkey.
Totally different movie. Green Mile stars Tom Hanks, Michael Clark Duncan, and is directed by, you're right, Frank Darabont, who also directed Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
Which makes sense since he's a collaborator with Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, of course, I think there's only one scene you could choose from this, isn't it?
Oh, no. There's many, but I mean, the biggest one is the having to do what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought it was going to be the mouse, but okay.
Yeah, I'm scared of the dark, boss.
I'm scared of dark, boss.
Does it hurt yet? I hope it does. I hope it hurts like hell.
John Coffey, you have been condemned to die in the electric chair by a jury of your peers, sentence imposed by a judge in good standing in this state. Do you have anything to say before sentence is carried out?
I'm sorry for what I am. Please, boss. Don't put that thing up on my face. Don't put me in the dark. I was afraid of the dark.
All right, Joe.
Yeah, I didn't want to go to the complete end of that scene, but I feel like the "Don't Put Me in the Dark" is sad enough.
Yeah.
Next one, unless anybody has anything else they'd like to say about Green Mile.
That's all I have to say about that.
About that, yeah. Next one is one of the original tearjerkers from our childhood because we were all very young the first time we saw this film. Steven Spielberg classic E.T., the Extraterrestrial. A lot of scenes I could have chose from for this film.
But when he thought E.T. was dead.
There's when he thought E.T. was dead. There's when E.T. turned out to be alive and he's super excited. There's E.T. going home at the end. I don't know. I mean, there's so many scenes you could choose from in this.
But the one that really jerked the tear was when you thought E.T. was dead.
When you thought E.T. was dead. I know.
I thought it was when he and Elliot were talking at the end, and Elliot's like, E.T. Elliot was like, "Stay," and E.T.'s like, "Come," like, yeah.
There were so many to choose from. The one I settled on was kind of a compromise, but it's not really like there's so many like you can argue that are the biggest tearjerker scene from that film. But so the one I went with was kind of like an in between of when you thought he was dead and right before you find out he's alive.
He must be dead. Because I don't know how to feel. I can't feel anything anymore. You've gone someplace else now. I believe in you all my life. Every day. E.T. I love you.
So that was kind of like my compromise. It was something in between because too many scenes to choose from, too many edits to make, try to cut it down to size. But if you've never seen E.T., you either were born blind, living under a rock, or you're a Gen Z person and have no idea what good films are.
The ending with Drew Barrymore and E.T., and she fully believed that he was a character, and the tears were actual because they were like, "No, this is it."
Well, that's because she was also drunk at the time, and
she was like 4.
She was like 13 when she went to rehab.
Because she got drunk and E.T. left.
Yeah, it's because she was very mistreated by the industry. Is a real story. But yeah, there's so many things you could choose from E.T. Like him going home at the end. Like I really debated which scene I wanted to use. So that was sort of a cop out, the one I used there.
And again, John Williams coming through with a solid, soundtrack and score that touches your heart.
Even like even like the scenes, like the happy scenes, the score is amazing. Everything matches well. Such a great, plus the increase in profits for Reese's Pieces.
Yeah,
because Eminem didn't want to do the film. Next one I have here is one that I don't think we've ever really talked about much on this show before, but it got me the first time I saw it. I was also probably like 13 or 14, I think, when I saw this movie the first time. It's an older film from the 90s, starring Macaulay Culkin and Anna Klumsky. The film's called My Girl.
My girl.
Honestly, there's only one scene to choose from this film.
He needs his glasses. He needs his glasses.
He can't see anything without his glasses. Let me tell you how hard it was to find this scene.
Really?
Somewhere where I can use it where it wasn't already edited to be a joke. Like I found so many versions of this, like where people have already re-edited it to make it like funny. And I'm like, I want the actual scene. And I couldn't find like the movie anywhere, of course.
Oh, of course.
So here's the edit I finally was able to get from My Girl.
God belongs to such as these. He laid his hands on their heads before he left that place. Let us pray in silence.
You want to go tree climbing, Thomas J? His face hurts. And where is his glasses? He can't see without his glasses. Put his glasses on. Put on his glasses. He was going to be an acrobat.
He's gone, sweetheart. He's gone.
I found one. I was like, oh, finally, I got the right clip. And it just had her going, he needs his glasses, put on his glasses over and over again until the scene ended. And I was like, this is definitely somebody re-edited this. But yeah, I mean, there's not many scenes from that film I would call tearjerker scenes, but it's definitely that one.
Mm-hmm.
I was like a trend in the 90s. Let's kill a kid. Next one is one that we have talked about many times. The Pixar film Up. We have always made jokes about how emotional the first 15 minutes of the film are.
The most depressing 15 minutes of cinema.
It's pretty. I mean, there are some happy moments in there, but then it always does lead to something depressing. There's the scene where she has the miscarriage and can't, get pregnant again, and like I'm like, Jesus, this is a Pixar movie. So there's
do I really want to watch this fucking movie?
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'm like, what's the rest of this movie going to be like? So then I did narrow this clip down to the very, very last portion of it. It's the last minute and a half of the scene. So the first last minute and a half of the opening 15 minutes of depression. Fuck you up.
Fuck me up.
Every time, man. It gets me that fucking scene.
And I know you cut it short because the whole thing.
Yeah,
man,
the whole thing.
You know
what else gets me a little bit in that movie? Because the rest of the movie is so like goofy and silly and all that, but it's the very, very end where the clouds part and you see the house sitting on the top of Paradise Falls, and like that's a little emotional too. But it's like, God damn, that opening 15 minutes, Pixar like had no idea what they were doing. I think, they were.
I'm sure they knew exactly what the fuck they were doing.
Damage a whole whole generation of people who saw that film. Next one is Good Will Hunting, and again another movie where there's a few like emotional scenes. But this is probably the one that I chose is probably the scene that won Robin Williams his Oscar for this movie.
it's either him talking to him on the bench or him in the office telling him that it's not his fault.
Some good guesses, yeah. And like I said, I think this is the scene that won Robin Williams his Oscar.
It's not your fault. Look at me, son. It's not your fault. I know. It's not your fault. I know. No, you don't. It's not your fault. I know. It's not your fault. All right? It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me. It's not your fault.
Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean, not you.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
For anybody who's never seen Good Will Hunting, the context of that scene is Will was abused as a kid and has been blaming himself for the abuse most of his life. And so that was the moment where his therapist, played by Robin Williams, had convinced him that it wasn't his fault, that he went through those things, that, it's okay to let it out. He's been hiding his emotions the whole movie. Good movie. I don't watch Good Will Hunting in a while.
No. I saw it more recently, probably within the past 6 months, but
Is that one that you've shown in your film class? Or?
No, I can't do it. Language violence. Couldn't do it. But, yeah.
Now, the scene you had mentioned before on the bench is also a really good scene. And
talking about his wife.
Talking about his wife. I like the scene where he talks. Is that the same scene as the bench scene where he talks about how he missed the World Series home run so that he can go meet the wife, or is that in The Office?
I think that's in The Office.
I think it's in The Office. That's another good scene. Not an emotional scene, but it's a really good scene from the film. So I added the last two here recently because I was watching one and thought of it, and I was like, yeah, I should add this. So I put Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame together as one entry on this list because there's multiple scenes from each of those films that I could have chosen for this. I think you can all guess what the Infinity War scene is.
Gamora?
Is it Gamora? Gamora. It could be Gamora.
I would go with Black Widow.
No,
that's Endgame. That's Endgame. So yeah, there's a lot you can go with this. Now for Infinity War, I immediately thought
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I immediately thought of the snap. I immediately thought of the snap for Infinity War.
I don't want to go.
Yeah, and then for Endgame, I picked out a very special scene. So I actually clipped 3 scenes together into a little 3-minute segment here. So I'm just going to play it from the start. You'll see the scenes that I chose.
I don't feel so good.
You're all right.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Sir, please. Please, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. He did it. Hey! Holy cow! You will not believe what's been going on. Do you remember when we were in space? And I got all dusty, and I must have passed out because I woke up and you were gone, but Dr. Strange was there, right? And he was like, it's been 5 years, come on, they need us. And then he started doing the yellow sparkly thing that he does all the time. What are you doing? Oh, this is nice.
So unfortunately, I have to cut it off there because I don't know why the sound stopped on my third clip.
Yeah.
So I chose the Peter Parker dusting scene because of the incident I had with the 20-year-old kid sitting next to me in the theater who was losing his fucking mind when Peter Parker died. But there's so many scenes from Infinity War. I could have chosen Gamora. I could have chosen other characters during the snap. Could have the whole snap scene really. And then Endgame, I could have did Black Widow's death. I could have done some other things, but I love the scene of the reunion with them after he comes back from the blip and the hug, and then at the end where he's like, "This is nice."
Actually, I think the worst one is after you watched Endgame and you watch it for the second time.
Mm-hmm.
A 3000.
Yeah, I love you 3000. Yeah, because you know it's going to happen, and then I love. There's a little callback at the end there where Happy Hogan is talking to the daughter at the funeral, and he's like, "Are you hungry?" And she's like, "I want a hamburger," and that like goes back to him at the end of the original Iron Man film. Yeah, he went with the McDonald's cheeseburger. So even dudes can cry at comic book films, apparently.
Yeah.
And the last one I have on the list for tonight, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. You have to know what I went with in this one.
It's the Snape scene.
It's always the Snape scene.
Hey. After all this time. Always.
One of the few
that whole scene.
Yeah, I mean, it goes beyond all that, but it's like I, as somebody who admittedly normally reads a book before seeing the film, and had not read the Harry Potter books prior to seeing the movies. I wanted to go in kind of surprised in that last movie, and boy, did I get hit with a hammer when that scene started rolling, and I've not known anything about it going into it. Yeah, that was a heavy one. So, that was the list I have for tonight. I feel like this is the kind of thing we can revisit at some point. So I don't want to go too far into like how many movies we had on here. But is there anything you guys can think of that I should have had on here tonight that you can think of? Or
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody!
Happy Valentine's Day. This is becoming a running joke for us because I think last Valentine's Day we did sad movies you only have to watch once.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to know our thoughts on Schindler's List, watch that episode.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do have a double secret bonus clip for you guys that I couldn't wait to show you tonight. This is a clip from this year's Oscar record-setting musical film, Amelia Perez. Here we go.
Very nice to meet you. I'd like to know about sex change operation.
I see. Men to woman, or woman to men.
Man to woman.
From penis to vagina. Is it for you?
For me.
What would you like to know about it, madam?
I want to know it all. What is the protocol, the techniques and the risks? How many operations? How much time do you need?
Mammoplasty.
Yes.
Vaginoplasty.
Yes.
Rhinoplasty.
Yes.
Laryngoplasty.
Yes.
Mammoplasty.
Yes.
Vaginoplasty.
Yes.
Rhinoplasty.
Yes.
Laryngoplasty.
Yes.
Control laryngoplasty.
What is that?
Adam's apple reduction.
Yes.
What?
If there's anything you should cry about, it's the fact that movie beat Wicked for Best Musical at the Golden Globes.
The lyrics just roll off your tongue.
That is a real scene from a real movie that got 13 Oscar nominations. It was
what did I just fucking watch?
It is the Academy going, we're going to be so progressive by nominating this film about a trans woman who used to be a cartel boss who's now trying to turn her life around. Little did they know, the film would get so many negative reviews from both fans and critics that the person who starred in the film, who was an actual person and went through an actual sex change to become a woman, and becoming the first trans woman to get nominated for an Oscar, is now embroiled in controversy over some racist comments she's made on Twitter, including some comments she's made about the Israeli-Palestine conflict and some other things. I mean, like, she's really like in the shit right now. And the fact that it's a musical that's supposed to be serious, directed by a French guy about a Mexican cartel. He's never been to Mexico, knows nothing about the cartels, and has said in interviews that he doesn't have to know about Spanish culture. It speaks for itself. What? This movie is just a fucking joke. And even better than that clip I just showed you were some of the comments that I culled from the internet about it. Here we go. It's amazing how this movie manages to insult Mexicans, trans people, and musicals all at once. For people who don't understand musicals hate musicals for this very reason. If I didn't know better, I would have thought this was a South Park parody. I like when they rhymed plasty with plasty. And my personal favorite, I can't wait to go to karaoke with my friends and sing From Penis to Vagina. I couldn't end it on all sadness. I had to throw something funny in there.
Apple.
It's
pineapple.
I have a pen. I have a pineapple.
Pineapple pen. Adam's apple. Reduction.
Yes. From penis to vagina. The most unbelievable part of that scene is when he says to Zoe Saldana, "Is this for you? Does she look like a man to you?"
No.
Mike, you have any beer trivia or history for us this evening before we get ourselves canceled?
Yes, I do. Give me a minute.
What?
Drinking
Mike
beer.
Get himself recalibrated all of a sudden.
Yeah. Drinking beer may reduce the risk of getting kidney stones as much as 40%. Note that that's moderate consumption. Excessive consumption of beer can have the opposite effect. Ain't that the goddamn truth?
Yes, sir. We have a cinema quote of the week.
We do. It is. Sorry, guys. I only have one computer tonight. Here we go. In Hollywood, an equitable divorce settlement means each party getting 50% of the publicity. Lauren Bacall.
Probably the most honest cinema quote we've had so far.
Probably.
Just as a side note, every time when I want to get on Katie's nerves now, I'll just walk into the room and randomly go from penis to vagina. So thank you for joining us tonight for episode 182, Big Boys Do Cry. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. Hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Remember, you can drop us an email, filmsoffermentation@gmail.com, or visit linktree.com/filmsoffermentation. Find all of our social media and podcast links. Remember, we are now part of the Podnation Media Network on Roku. You can watch us on there as well as on YouTube, or just listen to us on any of the social media platforms that are out there. You can buy our merchandise at teespring.com or support us at patreon.com/filmsoffermentation. Or text us at 904-867-4466. Don't forget to stop by the crossroads between Pickled and Fermented next time around for episode 183. This is a to-be-announced episode. We are all Philadelphia Eagles fans, as we all live in the Philadelphia
Eagles.
Yes, as we all live in the Philadelphia region. So if the Eagles win this Sunday, we're going to celebrate next episode by looking at some of our favorite, or some of the available films that are out there that are Eagles related. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl Sunday, boo, we're going to probably do something else. So this is a TBD episode next week, episode 133. In the meantime, I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
This has been the Films and Fermentation podcast.
Very nice to meet you. I'd like to know about sex change operation.
I see. Men to woman, or woman to men.
Man to woman.
From penis to vagina.
Cheers, everybody. And I'll see you guys on Sunday.
Sunday.